it's kind of neat to see people kind of cluing on to the fact that they want to see more in a leader than just garbage slogans.
Things are heating up with Justin Trudeau and his cabinet. They had their cabinet retreat out in Halifax, spending a lot of our money to eat fancy food and wine and dine. And they've come back from that with a press conference. And Mark Miller, Justin Trudeau's immigration minister, has completely lost his mind. He is running his mouth about Pierre, throwing out insults. So let's jump into this. So we're going to hear from multiple people, including Captain Schmuck. So first, Justin Trudeau's asked if he should be stepping down. He doesn't like this question.
Sir, you just made the Joe Biden argument that his record justifies him staying. The electorate is saying they don't want you. They want change. Your polling personally is worse than your party's.
I spent the summer talking with Canadians. And people's focus is on getting the support they need. They want to see a strong future for Canadians. They want to see opportunities for their kids. That's what we're working on every single day.
Instead of dancing, what about This edit from Zoltan here, hilarious. Trudeau is now being questioned about whether he should be stepping down, since that's what happened in America with Joe Biden. Something to think about that too is Joe Biden was only there 4 years. Trudeau's been here 9. It's time to go, Trudeau. We got this posted by Pierre. It says Sean Fraser opened the floodgates on low-wage foreign workers, specifically in Canadian communities with high unemployment rates where our youth can't get work. So corporations could treat them like modern S word. I can't say the one. In the words of the UN. Not to mention we had no housing for these foreign workers. Then Trudeau makes him housing minister. Good luck finding a home. Yeah, so as a CBC article here says, Liberals say they will rein in temporary foreign workers program after historic influx. They're just reactive to this whole situation. The past 2 videos has been on this. Next up, we've got Karina Gould. She's been out having a baby and all that. Now she's coming back. She wants to help further destroy Canada. She is one of Justin Trudeau's very loyal ministers. And she gets asked about if Trudeau needs to be replaced. And she just laughs it off like that could never happen.
We should do something here and swap out Trudeau and go for somebody who could revive the Liberal Party fortunes here?
Good question. Look, Canada and the US, although there are similarities, there are a lot of differences. And, you know, just because the Democrats do something in the United States does not then mean that we should be doing that here in Canada as Liberals. What I do think is that progressive voters are looking for that continued hope, right? That continued ability to make progress, advance how we are building a inclusive and progressive society and economy. And I think, you know, what our job as Liberals is to demonstrate to Canadians that that's the path that we're on, and that's the path that we must continue on, because we do face headwinds from, to be honest, some pretty extreme right-wing views in our own country right now. And so let's make sure that we are putting forward that plan, that agenda, that vision for Canada that I believe Canadians want to choose.
Extreme far right people, that's what's going on here. They want to give that continued hope. There's no hope with this Liberal government. The fact she opens this with a smile and a laugh as if that could never happen, like, read the room, Karina. Read the room, Liberals. We don't want Trudeau anymore. We don't want the Liberals anymore. Call an election. Next up, we got this clip of Immigration Minister Mark Miller. He goes on a full-blown rant here, just attacking Poilievre over and over. These are borderline personal attacks here.
A summer of listening to your constituents, voters across the country, and even from watching events unfold south of the border in those campaigns. What's your takeaway in terms of your own way forward?
Well, certainly, I think, and I think sometimes we borrow a little too much in our political rhetoric from the U.S. We have our own political dynamic here that is not necessarily readily comparable to the U.S. I know a lot of eyes are focused on the U.S. election. I'll focus a little more on what Canadians are saying. I spoke to the postmaster in an office in his riding the other day, and what she wants to see is a country and a leader with vision, and someone with solutions and not someone with slogans. Anyone can come up with cheap slogans, but people actually have to come up with a vision for the country.
Really? This is your defense? Vision for the country? Here you go, Mark Miller. All you have to search is 10 cities in Canada. Here's your vision for Canada. We never used to have any. The only tents you could find, maybe downtown Vancouver, West Hastings, you could find a couple. Even that, there's not really tents. People are just taking the hard candy, sleeping on the street. These are hardworking Canadians who pay taxes or are trying to live a normal life that are living in tents. This is Justin Trudeau's vision of the future.
We've set Canada on a course coming out of COVID where we have dealt squarely with issues around affordability that no country situated similarly like us has been able to escape, whether that's robust positioning on daycare, whether that's making sure that Canadians can make ends meet with a child benefit. Those are staples of
Canadians can't afford to have kids, Mark. Wake up, dude.
What we have been putting forward. Canadians want to see more of that. And they want to see a prime minister that cares about his country and doesn't spend his time shooting his mouth off. If you look at
What about the prime minister that sends all our money to Ukraine and any other country, but spending it on the own citizens that are sleeping in the streets? I'm about to pop my top here.
At the opposition, and Pierre Poilievre, this is a guy who spent the last 20 years cashing a government of Canada paycheck. What is the one thing that guy's ever done in the one job that he's ever held in the House of Commons? And no one can nail that. He throws out a lot of slogans. But sure, anyone can throw out a slogan, cut the crap, shut your yap. I could shoot that off all day, but it's not something that I really want to be seen as, but that's how he's seen, as someone that just throws out all this garbage. And that postmaster that I spoke to, she sees through that crap, and she keeps telling me that. And I don't know if she's a liberal or not. I bought some of the farm eggs that she was selling for $5 a crate, but it's kind of neat to see people kind of cluing on to the fact that they want to see more in a leader than just garbage slogans. They want to see concrete actions, and anyone that wants to be the prime minister of this country has to have a vision for Canada. And I think the prime minister is doing a great job in making sure that he's reflecting what Canadians are saying and hearing.
Maybe we should get some more details from Justin Trudeau himself, why he stopped teaching at West Point Grey Academy in West Vancouver. Why would a teacher stop teaching in the middle of the school year? This guy wants to talk about Poilievre's record. Let's talk about Trudeau's record. What has Trudeau done? This is a silver spoon, rich kid who has done nothing. He's achieved nothing. He got into power simply because of the whole boxing match thing, put his name back into the limelight. He was born while his dad was prime minister, was born with that name. The man did not earn his position. He simply got in because of his name and his hair, and people voting for him. Oh, he looks Mr. Suave, Mr. Prince Charming. Now we've got this narcissist running our country in the ground, sending billions to Ukraine and millions to Iraq and Africa and wherever else for ridiculous reasons, while Canadians sleep in the streets. The comments should be pretty good on this one. Oh yeah, then call an election if you're so confident. And by the way, shut off the immigration before you bring in more pterodactyls. Liberals are just upset Conservatives won't release their election plan because they can't steal any ideas. I mean, in this press conference, there's a few ideas that they state they want to do, which are just completely stolen off of Poilievre's plan that he's put out. This guy needs to go. He's completely incompetent. Garbage slogans and failed solutions have the legacy of 9 years of Trudeau Liberals. Real change, choose forward. There's actually a funny thing here, choose forward. Forward for everyone. Better is always possible. Sunny ways for the middle class and those working hard to join it. Investing in Canadians. Oh, there's a few more. Protect our progress. Building back better. If it was reflecting what Canadians are saying and hearing, then he'd call an election. So next up, we got Captain Schmuck here. He's asked about the temporary foreign workers and why they are reducing the numbers and why they were so high before, basically.
2 years ago, in the aftermath of the pandemic and facing severe labor shortages, we adjusted the program for temporary foreign workers. That's what the business community needed. That's what the business community was asking for. And at that moment in time, those changes helped. They helped the economy, and they helped businesses make it through a challenging moment in our economic recovery. But today's economy is very different from it was 2 years ago. Inflation has started to come down, employment is higher, and we no longer need as many temporary foreign workers. We need Canadian businesses to invest in training and technology and not increasing their reliance on low-cost foreign labor.
Who's the one who's always talking about investing in technology? That's Pierre Poilievre. That's all they did in Nova Scotia at their little conference. They just looked through Poilievre's plan and tried to see when they could work in all of his ideas.
It's not fair to Canadians struggling to find a good job, and it's not fair to those temporary foreign workers, some of whom are being mistreated and exploited. So I asked my minister to work on this over the summer, and we are taking action. We are tightening the rules and restricting eligibility to reduce the number of low-wage temporary foreign workers in Canada.
Yeah, I bet his big corporate buddies aren't happy about that. Galen, buddy, I'm sorry, big guy. Next up, we've got Melanie Joly. This one here says, Melanie Joly says, Canadians are anxious because of foreign government instability causing supply chain issues. Then she brings up Ukraine. So please explain what exactly Ukraine sends to Canada and what we need and how it disrupts the supply chain.
To talk about different issues that are important to Canadians, including, of course, what is happening in the world. We know that a lot of the geopolitical instability is causing a lot of anxiety with Canadians. And also we know that affordability issues are linked to the fact that there are so many supply chains that have been disrupted because there are so many geopolitical tensions. And we saw it again today with what happened in Kyiv and across Ukraine. And of course, we condemn these attacks by Russia. And at the same time, we saw it yesterday with the Hezbollah attack on Israel, and Israel standing to protect its own security.
This woman doesn't know anything about what she's talking about. She's so unfit for this job. You can just see her confidence in how she speaks. It's almost like she's afraid that she knows she needs to stay on script, otherwise the cat's out of the bag. We've got another clip here of Karina Gould. She's asked about why the Liberals are not popular. What's the problem here?
Just going back to the answer they gave to Tonda, you outlined some of your greatest political hits. You're talking about childcare, dental care, child benefit. Is it in your estimation that this is just a communications problem for the Liberals, that you need to sell these things you've already done better, or that fundamental political change needs to happen to get those voters that you used to have back on side?
I think there's a little bit of both, right? I think on the one hand, it's recognizing that these things don't just happen, right? You have to have a government that is committed to improving the lives of Canadians in real and tangible ways to get things like childcare, to get things like the Canada Child Benefit, and to get things like dental care. We know that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party of Canada and their members of Parliament are against those things, right? Even though they voted for childcare, if you actually listen to their speeches in the House of Commons, they basically equate it with socialism and, talk about the fact that if they were to get elected, they would make it more conservative. I don't really know what that means, because when I speak to Canadian parents, they like having access to a quality space and they like having access to an affordable space.
No, Canadian parents are angry because they pay for other people, a select limited amount of people, to have their kids go into a $10 a day childcare when they can't get their kids into it. So they pay into a system they can't even use, and by the time they get off of the wait list and actually get into the program, their kids will be too old for it. That's what Canadian parents are saying. If you actually opened your ears and listened to Canadian parents for once, you'd actually hear that.
So yes, we have more work to do, right? We absolutely have more work to do to build more spaces and to make sure that it's accessible to every Canadian child that needs a space. But throwing out the system is not a solution.
Yes, it is.
On the other hand, it's about making sure that we are thinking about what the future of Canada looks like and providing that vision of a progressive future for Canadians and enabling them to make that choice. So it's both. It's, about us talking about the things that we're doing and talking about them in a way that is meaningful for Canadians and that connects with them. But it's also about listening and responding to the needs of Canadians and sharing what our vision for the future is.
She's either so out of touch, she doesn't know what's going on, or obviously this could be just a big act and they know. They've all been playing their role to whatever there is they're doing, sending money over to Ukraine that somehow ends up in their pocket later, or whatever they're doing, building up their businesses. I mean, think of all the scandals we know about. The Randy Balsnut one, not looking good, looking like he's definitely, something's going to happen there, smoking gun. So if we know about these ones, which ones do we not know about? That's the real question here. Guilbeault admitted he's a socialist in the House of Commons. He did. This woman is truly a national embarrassment as an MP. The only thing the Liberals have done is increase spending and taxes. That bimbo is daft. She lost millions in revenue from companies that moved south. Improvements where I do not see any. I see more homeless people and crime up and inflation. Is she okay in her mind? Exactly. Just read the comments. Talk to people on the street. It's painfully obvious that most of us in Canada do not like what the Liberals are doing. Whether you were a Liberal supporter before, it doesn't matter. Most Liberals are not supporting the Liberals anymore. Next up, we got one more clip here of Karina Gould. I'm not going to subject you to the full 4 minutes and 11 seconds because she's about as intelligent as a potato, but her answers are just so vague and surface level. They're just so politician. It just... I don't know if this is just because she's coming back now and she wants to just tiptoe her way back into politics. She's come across as phony, maybe even more phony than Justin Trudeau.
I know that you haven't been in your role since you've been on mat leave, but you've been out campaigning. You know what voters are saying in the GTA and the mood in Toronto since Toronto St. Paul's. What is your message to the Prime Minister about how you guys are going to get reelected?
Well, it's about listening to Canadians, right? It's about hearing where they are right now and understanding where they are right now. Certainly. Oh, sorry. How about I lift this up a little bit? I'm a bit taller than Anita. Yeah, I mean, look, so I've been on mat leave for the last 7 months. And
Delay. She's a Trudeau bootlicker. She's not out listening to Canadians. If she is, she's got earplugs in.
And what I would say is that, I think there's still this feeling of unease. People are still finding it difficult, with paying for groceries and mortgages that are being renewed. And so it's really understanding, I think, where Canadians are at this moment in time and listening to them and reflecting on that. And that's exactly what we're doing over these couple of days in Halifax. Is
Canadians don't want you to listen and reflect. They want action. And all these people do is go to a conference in Halifax and eat fancy food, have their little fun convention, wasting our money, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. She basically goes on to talk about doing yoga with her baby. It's like, just goes off on a complete tangent.
Reflecting on what we've heard and what we've gathered over the summer and thinking about what that means in terms of bringing forward policies that are going to respond to the needs of Canadians today.
So that's exactly the answer the Prime Minister's been giving. But if you
good, he's listening. So
if you look at the polls, the desire for change that voters seem to feel is very powerful. Mm-hmm. And yet all I hear ministers here saying is continue to do the work you've been doing and delivering what you said you would do 9 years ago. So I'm wondering what is your prescription for how you address that appetite for change in the electorate?
I think that's a great question. I think the question too, is it change for change's sake, or is it because we need to be doing something differently? When I talk to Canadians and when I talk to people in my constituency, for example, when I hear from seniors about dental care, they like that. They want that to continue. They recognize that if the Conservatives were to get into government, that probably will not continue. I was in a mom and baby yoga class, right? And I was talking to the people in my class. Many of them are getting the Canada Child Benefit, right? That is helping them with the high cost of living. Many of them are taking advantage of the 18-month parental leave that we put in place. And almost all of them are accessing the lower child care costs. They found a space and they're getting those.
Oh, please, this is a load of crap and we all know it. Nothing changes. Captain, we've been contacted by the dumbest life form in our known galaxy on screen. It's painful to listen to her talk. So somebody's posting her riding here, Conservatives taking over. She's going to lose her seat. Ah, yes, the pressing need almost all Canadians want. Baby yoga classes. Her baby must be in that $10 a day daycare that nobody can find. Next up, we've got Treasury Board President Anita Nand. This slippery snake is asked about the current state of Canada as well.
We know that there is more work to do on GDP per capita or productivity. And so I will be launching a working group to study productivity in the public and private sectors. And this will happen very soon, within the next few weeks.
Just what we need. More studies on nonsense. Leave it to the government to waste money to study waste. What a waste. Another useless committee set up to hire more federal employees to do nothing. In other news, we got these guys here. They saw a guy breaking into vehicles and they did a citizen's arrest on him. I can't play the video, but he's got him held down. They called the cops. Well done, guys. I don't know if citizen's arrest, I don't know what the law is on that in Canada, if that's allowed or not, but this post here by Joly says the CNE was completely packed last year, especially on weekends. Now looking at it, it's completely empty. So I can't play the music of this, but it's copyright music. You can see this, it's empty. Couple people there, couple people there. You know, that's what happens when nobody has money for any of this kind of stuff. Extra spending, cost of living is too high. We can't afford groceries or rent. Forget about this. Exactly. First comment I read there. Or this one, constant protests, crime, the bottleneck of traffic going into Toronto. People are just tired of the streets being filled with protesters, people blocking streets. It's endless in this country now. Next up, we've got international students and temporary foreign workers held a rally in Winnipeg calling for the government to extend work permits. Once again, they're trying to pretend they have rights in this country they don't have.
Workers, stand for! Stand for! Stand for!
Okay, so YouTube gets a little funny about the audio on these kind of things. This is not anything crazy. It's just a bunch of people walking around with signs, but we're just going to keep it muted for most of this. But, you know, it says fair draws, fair immigration system. It's temporary, guys. It's in the name. Temporary foreign worker, temporary students. It's temporary. You got to go home. It's time to go home. If your thing's up, you're done. Time to go home.
Fulfill. We want to. Stay here. We want to. Stay here.
That wasn't in the promise when you guys came here, though. It's quite literally temporary. It's in the name. You don't get to stay here. You got to go home now. I don't know. This is so goofy. Every worker matters. It's like going into another country and then demanding different rules, different rights. Like a bunch of Canadians just showing up in Vietnam and chanting that we want different rights for us to be citizens or whatever it may be. It's absolutely goofy. So I'm not going to read the comments here. They're all pretty rough, but basically people are kindly saying to go home. Jumping over to my group, let's see what memes we've got today. I'm giving Trudeau the 150th warning, support me, or else he'll get another warning. Not kidding this time. I mean, that's Jagmeet. He's all talk and no action because his pension, it calls the shots for him. So, and Trudeau knows that. So Trudeau will always get support until his pension. Now, in March of next year, maybe Jagmeet pulls, his trump card and tries to get a bit of support by saying, oh, look, I called the election. I did it, guys, just after I got my pension. Like, that's his only card he can play now. I've been waiting here for hours and still no train. What $100 gets you at the grocery store in Nova Scotia? Yeah, a whole lot of nothing. Like peanut butter, milk, all this stuff. Bread, super expensive. Vegetables, forget about it, super expensive. When I am PM, I will plant 3 billion potato orchards. He really brought that one on himself. Everything is okay, trust me. Yeah, no kidding. This is the person running my country. There we go, folks. Justin Trudeau and all his den of thieves, their press conference today. Mark Miller, the guy is nasty. He is nasty. He's quite a vile-tongued guy. If you get that guy a little bit ticked off, he really runs his mouth, and it really shows a lot about his character. This is not the first time he's done this. It was happened in a committee as well. I got in trouble for even showing that video of him being, vile-tongued in that committee meeting last time. The question is now, after their cabinet meeting, what are they going to do? How are they shuffling this up? Is Freeland getting kicked out? Who's moving around? What are they going to do? They know they've lost the support of us, the people. So what's their next move?